Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Um, Good morning. It is Wednesday, October 13th, and I'm Kate Richberg. Welcome to Beadshop Live. I see a bunch of you guys watching, which is great. It's great to have you all here. I see my mom here is watching, so hello, Gwenda. We're broadcasting on a couple of, or on another platform today, just for fun, because I know that people are looking forward to some wire wrapping. So I have you guys on the Beadshop Facebook group, the Beadshop Bead Table group, Facebook page, I guess I should say, Bead Table group, our YouTube channel, and I'm broadcasting into my Create with Kate Richberg group today to give you a little bit of wire content. I see that my buddy from high school, Jenny is here. So, Mom, making that connection. I don't know if you guys are watching on the same platform, but Jenny says hello. It's great to see all of you guys. I love bringing together people from all over the world. Of course, we've got our Gita, who is linking and moderating over on our Facebook page, all the way over from Denmark, which is amazing. I've got people all over the US and people from Mexico and South America, all over the Americas, which is great. So it's wonderful to have everybody here. And of course, our friends from up north, as I point to the sky, I guess I should point that way, from Canada as well. So it's great to have everybody here. We really, really are an international group of crafters and creatives. So it's great to have you all here. Janice will be jumping in soon. She has a busy week this week. She is actually doing a move from not too long of a move, but a little bit closer to her family. So it's great for her. So we're picking up the load today. So, but Janice will be in to pop in. I, of course, am drinking my tiny espresso, so I am glad for that. So, and we are celebrating 5 years of broadcasting this month. It's going to accumulate in a really big, wonderful broadcast at the end of the month, the last Wednesday of the month. That date is, I should have it burned into my memory, but I don't. It's the 27th of October. We're going to have a big celebration here on the live broadcast because that will be our 5-year anniversary. So it's amazing to think that I've been doing this for 5 years. So I have some news for you guys. It's great news. And since I put it on social media, it means that it's real. So not only is Janice making a move, but I'm making a move. But don't worry, I'm not leaving you. I'm still going to be here virtually, and I'm not leaving Beadshop, but I am, Chris and I and the cats are pulling up stakes and moving, I guess it's this way, a little closer, or a lot closer actually, to my family in the Central Valley. So I will be broadcasting sometimes remotely, sometimes back here from the mothership, but I'm not going anywhere. It's just our house and home are moving. So it's really excited. We're going to be leaving our beloved Bay Area, which, I'm a native here. And yes, Gita's saying we want Alfie. Yes, we will have special guest cat stars. Maybe sometimes my mom can come from 5 minutes away and join me on the broadcast. So it's going to be great. So, but I could not do this without the support of my family. First and foremost, my mom and dad have really been rocks, both for Chris and I, my siblings and their families, and all of our friends who are very, very supportive. And last but certainly not least, my work family here. It's great that everyone is supporting this move so that we can make a little bit of a lifestyle change. So that's the big announcement that I have today. So I'm only as far away as the computer. Sometimes I'll be here, sometimes I'll be there. So don't you worry. I'm not going anywhere. but I will have some more space and a second studio for you guys to look at. So anyway, that's that. So those of you who are watching on all of these platforms, don't you worry. We're still going to beam amazing content to you and all really amazing content. So don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. So, but it is a little bit of a stressful move. So don't you worry. It's okay. We'll be all right. Chris is doing a lot of literally heavy lifting. So that being said, one more bracing cup of coffee. And thank you, Julie. I'll show you these earrings up close because today is all about wire. And today I've got some, they're sitting right over here to my right. I have some really fun giveaways for you guys. I actually have 3 giveaways. We're going to talk about the giveaways actually at the end of the broadcast. And so stay tuned because those of you who are watching live will have a chance to win. I've got 3 really good ones and I'm going to show you. I also am going to show you the project that I have coming up for Friday. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. So let's take a look at what we've got here on the velvet pad and get this story going. Let me add this in. There we go. And let me actually make this big. And let me get rid of me. No, whoops. Let me get rid of me. There we go. Okay. So, so people are asking, we are actually moving to Fresno, the 5th largest city in California. So we'll be in Fres. So it'll be really exciting. I'm really excited to be that much closer to my parents and really excited that nothing will change here at Beadshop and all of those great things. So don't worry, not going far. We're just pulling up our Bay Area roots. And moving a little further inland. So it's good. It's good news all around. So I'm going to share with you a couple of things today, okay? And bear with me here just a second. There we go. And so it's all about wire for me today. Okay, I think you're going to love it. The wire portion of what I'm doing, some of it is a good basic, and some of it is, I've done it before for you guys, but you're going to see this again. Okay, so I think you'll like it. And also, Julie, I think you were commenting about my earrings. I'll show you these. Because I think and I did these, I think maybe on a Free Tip Friday, maybe, I don't know. It's so hard to remember when I did these. But this is maybe a 16 gauge wire that I flattened here, right? And then instead of using wire, I wrapped it with Irish wax linen. And they're really light. They're kind of fun. You can use these as charms, as pendants. You can see that they're both a little bit different. I did some of that tornado wrapping with beads on the top of this one, and this one I just kind of left plain. So you can do whatever you want for this, right? So if we look back it was a wire play day or something, but essentially I made a frame, wire wrapped it, and used some Irish wax linen to weave back and forth, kind of like I would do wire. So here's a little teaser for you there. Now, these guys here, what I have on my, they do kind of have a stained glass look. Thanks, Curtis. I think they do. You can see, just to show you one more time, and then I'll get into it here, but you can see I've used some 8/0 seed beads here, a Hishi bead, some of those little shadows. What a surprise that I use shadows. And that's it. So they're not very big. Let me measure them for you so you have an idea. I'm going to need the ruler anyway. They're a little over about an inch, this portion, about an inch, right? And then these are hammered. This is all hammered here. And I think I used 16 gauge, okay, is what I used. So, okay, so here on the pad in front of me, we're going to do some wire wrapping that I think you guys are gonna like. I have this wire wrapped hook and eye that you can see right there that, and let me zoom in a little bit. They are in a projects page. The earrings, I don't think the earrings are, Patsy. Um, if you guys like them, maybe I'll do them again. And I'm going to leave them there so you guys can look at them for a second. I'm going to grab a couple things, but this wire wrapped clasp that I'm going to do, this is a clasp that I have used, I don't know, for 25 years, as long as I've been doing jewelry. And I think it's super, super helpful, especially when you don't have a clasp that matches something that you need, and that's probably how this clasp came to be, honestly. But I think it's super easy, and most of you already have the skill set. If you can do a basic wire wrap, you can do this clasp. I promise you, it's really super simple. And I think you'll find it comes in handy. So, and probably I made it out of necessity because I was probably, I don't know, missing a clasp that I needed or something like that. So, and I'll look, I'm sorry, of course I wore these and I didn't do any backstory research, but it must have been on a wire play day. It could have been during the Kate's Creative Connections. I could have done this. That might be the place to look. But anyway, so what inspired this project, you ask? Well, number one, you know how I love wire, right? Wire is my spirit animal. So I pulled the wire out, and it just so happened that it coincided with my our launch of these ovals that I picked out that I just love. So I pulled all of these so you guys can see them. I used the golden obsidian because it looks kind of black on the screen here, but it's actually kind of a golden black. I don't know if that's the right word, but they feel very brass, sort of the look, kind of an undertone of it. It's the natural golden obsidian. I just love it so, so, so much. So we have these ovals. The oval size is 10 millimeter in width by 14 millimeter in length, and they're 8-inch strands. Okay. And these are simply gorgeous, and they come in a bunch of different stones, a few stones that we haven't carried a lot of, including this cherry quartz. Now, cherry quartz is actually not a stone. It is a man-made glass that they cut and carve and everything, just like regular semi-precious stone. You also see that with goldstone, is that same kind of glass, stone that they use, alongside semi-precious stones in lapidary. So we have the cherry quartz, and I love the color. I remember when cherry quartz came out on the market, and it was such an interesting and unique color. It really reminds me of kind of that strawberry lemonade color. I really, really love it. Of course, we've got lapis, and the lapis is also a natural color. Some stones are a little lighter, some are a little bit darker. They're beautiful. The African turquoise in matte, which is beautiful. Apple jasper. It looks like a red jasper, but this is the apple jasper that has the different striations and colors and stuff in there. Then here is that golden obsidian. You can kind of see here as I hold it up, right? It's right there. And then this is the black gold amazonite. Venus jasper, which I love the gray, just like your kitty cat, Gita, your Venus, right? This jade, which I've always had a soft spot for jade. It's beautiful, natural color. And then this matte porcelain jasper. Again, the matte I think is beautiful, and it has some of those pinks and creams and stuff in it. So we've got this great collection. So if this golden obsidian doesn't float your boat, right? This is a great stash buster. You can grab a single strand. I just used one of the 8-inch strands. And then you can kind of, add in, accentuate with whatever beads you like. I chose kind of a variety of beads here. I'm using the maple leaves, a 4mm. This is the matte iris brown, and then an 8/0 seed bead here, right? And that 8/0 seed bead, I used it in that hawthorn color, and it adds kind of an interesting fall color to this. It's kind of a mustard, but I think it goes really well with the brass and the copper. I've got a 6mm garnet fire polish here, and as some of you noticed, I'm using our new Ethiopian rounds, the brass ones, because they are just so good, and I'm going to show you how I use them with these they kind of have funky holes on them, but that's okay because I'm going to show you how to use them so they sit nicely. So let's jump right in, and I want to show you this piece that I've got going so far, and I want to talk a little bit about designing a piece like this, so that you can start to assembly line this sucker, right? That's really what designing a piece like this, at least for me, is all about dealing with the kind of assembly line nature of this. So you can see I started the piece to kind of put it together to make sure that I liked all of the beads and how they looked, right? And then from there, I just went in and I wire wrapped a few of these, so 2, 4, 6 of these, okay? Then I cut 6 more. I've got 6 more of these guys. So you can see I've got some 3 different component parts in the actual necklace part here, chain wire wrap pieces of this necklace. So here's the obsidian. Then I've got this brass flanked by the 2 4mm. And then this connection over here, this component, is the 6mm fire polish flanked by the 8mm, the 8/0 seed bead. Okay, so I've got 6 of these guys here. I've cut 6 of these wires here that I'm going to make maybe for these. And then maybe I'll cut about 4 more of those. I might need 6, but we'll see. Okay, so the length that I cut, you could always work off the end of your spool, but I'm using the bare copper wire, and it's in 22 gauge. Now you could go up to 20 gauge if you wanted. 22 seemed right for me, so that's just what I felt like using. I cut these wires at about 2 3/4 of an inch. So what I did was, you can measure and say, yep, it's going to be about right there. And then I'll cut. So I'm going to cut, I guess I'll cut 6 of these just so I have them ready to go. Okay. And so I lined them all up here and I clipped them. And again, this is 22 gauge. This is bare copper, but you could go up to 20 if you wanted it to be a little more substantial. But I think that this 22 gauge is just fine, and it doesn't overwhelm the beads that I've got here. But either would work. You could even pop down to 24 if you wanted, right? But it just depends on what you like using. So you've seen me do this before, but I'm going to do this again. And let's see, I need 2. These are on this string that they come on, so sometimes they're a little hard to come off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. And sometimes they've got a little bit of string inside them. You can take that out. There we go. So, and then I've used the 4 millimeters on either side. Okay, so I get those all stage 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay. Oh, this is a good question. Linda, this is dead soft wire. Thank you for the reminder for that. You know, just a side note, for most of my wire wrapping, I use dead soft. I don't use half hard that often. The work that I do with this as I start to wire wrap the wire will work harden this wire a bit. And I just like it. I just feel it's easier for my hands. So that's what I do. Some people do prefer a half hard wire, but again, this is soft that I'm using, dead soft. So I'm going to go at Kate speed for this. I'll slow down with this first one and I'll talk you through it, this wire wrap, but we have a really good skill builder on beadshop.com that will go over this wire for you. But essentially, I'm going to take my chain nose plier and I can, if I want to, if I need to, I can come in with my wire straightening plier and see how that gives it a nice straight unbent wire, right? And I can do all of these real quick. And even though my wires started out real straight, these just straighten them out all that much more. And again, this also starts to harden your wire just a little bit. Okay, so those are all done. So then I'm going to come down. This is maybe, I don't know, I guess I'll measure so I don't guess for you. Maybe I come down a little over 3/4 of an inch, maybe 7/8 of an inch or so, about that. And I'll bend right here at that right angle. Okay, that right angle, you guys, for wire wrapping is super, super important because that angle that's right there is going to help start make your loop nice and round. You can see here how if I pull this wire wrapped unit here, you can see that right angle is living right there. You can't, so I'm going to get a little closer right there like that. Okay, so that's that angle there. So after that, after I make that right angle, I grab my round nose pliers. Now you want to be fairly consistent where you grab the wire with your round nose pliers. Wherever you grab it on this head of the tool here is where is how big the loop is going to be, right? So you can mark this with your Sharpie marker if you want to, or you can just here use your hand up and over like so. And so see how it started to form your loop like that? So now I'm going to come in and bring it down so I have this loop right here. And I'm going to back on my tool so it's nice and tight. And I'm going to pull this wire around underneath the jaw of the tool. So I've got a nice round loop. And back in the day, at the bead shop when I'd be teaching wire, I'd call this like a little man. Here's his little body, here's his little head, and there's his scarf kind of blowing in the wind. Okay, so here's this business right here. So now I'm going to wire wrap it. Okay, so you can hold this loop a couple of ways. You can keep it in your round nose plier like this, right, and hold it tight if you want to. And see how I'm right-handed. Okay, so I'm going to wrap with my right hand and hold with my left hand. Okay, if you feel like this is still moving around a little bit, we don't want that to happen. So we're going to come in and we could also hold that loop flat under our chain nose plier. Okay, like that. So now I'm going to get my bent chain nose like so, and I'm just going to come in and wrap. And I'm going to take these kind of bent little fingers around and around and wrapping 180 degrees of this length of this wrap at a time. You want to ease up on your death grip. Of course, I put lotion on right before I went on, so my hands are a little slippery. Then you can just take that little tip and dip it right in with that bent chain nose. Now, if you have to kind of straighten everything out here, you can, like so. And now, whoops, sorry about that. This is ready to go. My loop is not as perfectly straight as I want it to be, and actually it's a little bit smaller than I want it to be as well. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to use this round nose plier like a little mandrel, and I'm going to round this up just a bit. That's not the best loop I've ever made, but you won't tell anyone, right? Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit faster on this, so you can see a few. And I noticed I said I had 6, but I really just have 5. So I'm going to steal one from over here. Okay. So now, as you start to get some muscle memory in your hands, this is how I do it when I am wire wrapping everything. And you can see here, as I put them down, everything is about the same length, and it's because I've been wire wrapping forever. So now here, I pull up my wire, and I want it to be just a little bit bigger than the loop was before. So there we go. There's one. Here's 2. And you can challenge yourself. Remember, in Deep Pandemic, we did the bead Olympics, and I did some wire Olympics, seeing how many wire wraps I could do in 5 minutes or whatever it was. That was kind of fun. I don't remember how many it was, but I'm a little out of practice. I haven't done any wire work for a while. So yesterday I was making this necklace, and I was like, oh, yeah, those wire skills are a little shoddy. So there we go. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so those are ready to go. So you can always challenge yourself a little bit, right? And right, Gita just said, just like the wire Olympics. That's right, right? So you can kind of make it a little bit of a game for yourself, because sometimes, I'll agree, sometimes this monotonous wire wrapping is, well, monotonous, right? So if you make yourself a little bit of a game and a little bit of a challenge, it'll be fun for you. So I'm just going to take that up, wire wrap it. So now this is the second step, the wire wrap step. So I've got these all there. And since I measured these about right, this loop, this wrap, I don't have any waste right here, but that's just me. This is almost 30 years. I'm going to be celebrating 30 years of jewelry making next year. I walked in through the front doors of Beadshop.com in August of 1992, and that springboarded my jewelry making career, my teaching career, into what has become my life's calling. So 30 years in 2022, because it's still 2021, right, you guys? I don't know if you're like me, but the pandemic has really made my sense of time. I have to really stop and think now. Sometimes what year it is. I don't want to be like one of those movies rushing up to a stranger on the street saying, "What year is it?" Right? But I've mostly got it. I just look at my phone, make sure I'm still on the right timeline. So there's 3. That's 4. I'm going to do 2 more here. But see how I grip them? Grip that loop right in between the heads of the tool, right? So it really holds it stationary. and as I wrap. So Beth asks here, uh, whoops. Oh, I do, Janice. I do want to know how long you've been wire wrapping. I do. And Beth's question was, did you just walk in to buy beads, Kate? Well, I will tell you that I did not. I actually didn't know about the world of beads, to be completely frank with you. I was working at the time at Apple Computer and considering going back to school to get my master's because I loved to teach, but I didn't quite know what form teaching would take. And a desk job, even at Apple, this was the years between the Steve Jobs years, so it was a little bleak at Apple in '92, to be completely frank. And so I didn't love it. So I was looking in the newspaper because that's how you got a job back then, right? Is that you looked in the newspaper and you looked at the want ads. So I did. And the newspaper said the bead shop is hiring. And I went, wait, what now? There's a shop that just sells beads? I'm in. So I thought, oh, what a great part-time job while I go back to school and figure things out. And I was, I don't know, 26 or something at the time, I guess. And so I walked in, I called, I got an appointment to, I got an interview, and they hired me. And now, smash cut to 30 years later, I am still doing this. And Janice is saying here that she has been wire wrapping for 60 years. So between the two of us, we have almost 100 years of experience. And if you throw Emily into the mix, which I always like to do, and we promise that Emily will be back, if you throw Emily into the mix, it's over 100 years. So that's fun. So see, now I'm putting on these beads. Okay, so here's this 4mm fire polish, and here is the brass, Ethiopian brass, and these Ethiopian brass have these uneven holes, but that's okay because this 4mm kind of sits in those holes and makes it nice and rigid, right? Nice and stable. I'm also, what I'm doing without even telling you or thinking about it, I'm lining up my bend here. I've got the tips of my pliers. I'm going up just about maybe 1/8 of an inch or so on those tips. And then I'm bending the wire over the plier to leave that little neck. So I'm going to wire wrap it down here. I've got the side of the loop facing me, and I'm pushing the wire away from me so that when I wire wrap, those loops will be in the same direction. Okay. So here we go. Stacy's saying you're gathering. No, Stacy, this really is live. If you're watching it right now and it's Wednesday, October 13th at 11:08 a.m. Pacific time, you're watching live. But we do have replays, and I know that some of you do watch our replays, so thank you so much for your support, watching live or watching on replay. We could not do this without all of you all. So see how this hole on this side, this one is a little bit bigger, so that this bead goes down a little bit further like this, right? So, but it's fine. That's what that bead is there for. Okay, so we bend at an angle like so, and then we'll do our last one here. So we've got these 6 almost done. So let's bend. I love all this chat, you guys. If you're over on our YouTube, watching on the Beadshop YouTube, Janice is giving kind of a history about how long she's been wire wrapping. It is true. Janice started this business, got her love of beading from her mom, Lydia, who back in the day in Palo Alto owned a antique store called Antiques Etc. It's on Middlefield Road, where the Safeway is now, if any of you are familiar with the Palo Alto area and that area. And then she moved to downtown Palo Alto, and that location eventually became our flagship store when we were a brick and mortar. Okay. So here is this. So here's the way I do this, and I just wire wrapped one, but I'm going to tell you, go through how I did it. So see here with this right angle, all right, like so, right angle here. And then my plier goes in with the heads one on top of the other. Can you see that there? And then with my index finger, I'm right-handed, so with my right index finger, I go up and over the top of that. Then I come down to the bottom, and I need to pull that little scarf end underneath, right? So that it sits, so I've got a nice round loop here. Now this is the thing. This is where people trip up. Even sometimes when you're a seasoned wire wrapper, sometimes you don't do this, and I do this automatically. So I want to show you guys this. See how since I've gone up and over, let me hold this with this so you can see it. Since I've gone up and over the top, right, of the tool, and I've come down and underneath, can you see how this loop, there we go, isn't centered, right? So I do an automatic step to center this loop up and over this wire wrapped connection, this wire wrap component I'm making. So it makes your loop sit nice and centered on the top of your component. Okay, so here, let me show you that little movement I do where I hold it here and I turn, and that's it. It's hardly a movement at all. But then, so now, can you see? It's still a little off, but there we go. Can you see how that loop is now centered over the pin of the wire? Okay, so then I just hold it. I can hold it in my round nose, or I can hold it in my chain nose, and then I just take it and I go 180 once, twice, thrice, and maybe one more time there. Okay, now the other thing, if you're wire wrapping, oh, see that one, wah wah, sad trombone. This was a little bit small and it pulled this in, but that's okay. I can even put a larger bead or something here. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'll do it with this one. If you're wire wrapping, like say crystals or beads that are delicate, you want to leave just a little bit of space here when you're wrapping. You can hardly see it, right? But when I clip away that excess wire and I go to push that excess wire right in, okay, and this just closes in like that. Okay, so that's it. Oh, Sarah, I just saw your comment, and she said, oh, I'm going to show this comment because it gives me all the feels. Thank you for letting me know. Sam, who was a wonderful old man cat who I loved and watched my broadcasts with you, Sarah. But now you have Bodhi, who is also a Kate fan. I'm so glad. So sorry for your kitty cat loss. But I love to know that the jewelry cat love continues on. So it's sad when our pets go, right? It really is. But we have fond memories of them for sure. So see, here I'm doing this at Kate speed. Okay. I kind of love these broadcasts where I reminisce a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but it always seems like my wire broadcasts bring me like way back to my roots. I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling sentimental because of the move or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, so here's those done and done. Okay. So here I am now going to hold these and I'm going to, again, wire wrap them at Kate speed. And then I'm going to talk about connecting, okay? And we've got to get to this clasp and we've got to get to all the giveaways. So, and I want to say a big shout out. I know some of you have joined a little bit later, so it's great to have all of you all here. Oops, I didn't do that in a 180. See what I did? Okay. So that was a Kate trying to hurry thing. And so see how I brought it around and then I pulled it around and then this component started to go out of shape, right? Keep it at that 180 if you can. It'll make for a better wire wrap. Okay, so here it is. I grab the wire, I bring it around. I grab the wire, I bring it around back. I grab the wire, I bring it around front. Okay. So it keeps your wire component from getting all crazy. So I'm trying to be swift, but I don't want to be slovenly either, right? And I just slightly tilt my component down towards my pad and let gravity kind of take those beads down so I have some room, okay? And we'll do this our final one, and then we'll trim them, and then we'll talk about connecting, okay? So here's that, bring them around. And that first pull that I'm doing right here, okay? That first go round, I want to make sure that I am pulling that wire up against the top portion of that loop, so that, and nice and straight, not at an angle, so that all subsequent wraps sit nice and straight with that. Okay, so let's see. Okay, and so okay, let me come in and let me clip and clip and see if you do, or at least for me it works, if I do my steps repeatedly, I get a little bit faster because my hands are doing the same step over and over. So you're building that muscle memory right into your jewelry hands. And see here how I'm doing that? There's the little cut. There's a little bit of space there, a little bit of a tail there. So my bent chain nose are here, right? They kind of curve like a little mountain. So I put that little mountain kind of right there next to that, and I push in, and that just pushes in that little tail. And I had a little bit of space there, so that tail just flows right into that bit of space that I left. Okay. This is a great question. Kathy has this question and says, I see you wrap towards you, I wrap away from me. Does it matter? It does not matter. You know, I think that when, and it's true with all types of teaching, I think, but especially I think with jewelry making, you watch a lot of different, or at least, you know, I would hope, you know, you watch a lot of different makers on the different YouTube channels or different, I'm going to do a couple of these here, or different, you know, tutorials, whatever. And you learn a bunch of different techniques, right? And then I think it is perfectly acceptable and actually desirable, I think, to use all of those techniques and conform them into your own special way of doing things. So for the wire wrapping, I don't have any reason to wrap either towards you or away from you. I think it just depends on what works for you best. So you can see I've used, these are little pieces I've done on head pins. So these head pins are actually a little bit thinner. They're 24 gauge. And you treat a head pin, a wire wrapped head pin, just as you would a wire wrapped bead unit, right? So I just did a few of these very quickly because I want to show you how these go on as well. And so again, I bring that 24 gauge wire around 180 degrees at a time, using my bent chain nose. You could see that little piece of wire got fatigued a little bit at the end. That's why I grab the wire. You can see I don't try and wrap like up here with the tips of my tool. I I pull this wire around from the very tip of the wire. So if I mark the wire at the end, it doesn't really matter because this gets cut away. These head pins also, I think Linda, you mentioned it earlier about half hard wire. These head pins have been hardened. And did you see how that little piece of wire kind of broke off the end? So when you're doing this, when you're wire wrapping with half hard wire, you can fatigue it so much that it will break. So that's another reason why I just use dead soft wire. Okay, so I'm going to clip this away again, just getting that tip of my wire cutter right up against my wire wrap, coming in and clipping that away. The head pins, as far as gauge goes, these head pins are 24 gauge, and the wire that I'm wrapping with is 22 gauge. These wire wrap bead units are 22. Let me get these a little bit closer. My pad is sneaking up a bit. So let me get those in. So now to connect, okay? And what I would do is I would wire wrap all of your pieces, then kind of lay them out and then connect them. If that's not your thing and you just like to connect as you go, then do that. It doesn't matter, really. And the thing that's different about this wire wrapped chain link of beads is that it has a jump ring connecting everything. I did that because I wanted the maximum movement of this piece, right? And so that's what I did. But you can wire wrap them link to link if you want, right? It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Sometimes I do that, and when I do link to link, I make sure that my loops are a little bit larger so this piece flows a little bit. Okay. Linda asks, is it better to hold the wire in the loop with the round nose plier or outside the loop with the flat nose? I'll tell you. Let me do this one here. Let me wire wrap this one. So when I hold it, I don't know, maybe it just depends on the day, right? I don't know. We all do things differently on different days. If I'm going for speed and I want to keep from putting this plier down, I will keep the round nose plier in the loop, okay? What happens sometimes is, like I did on this one, especially with thinner gauges, if I push it down too far to keep the head of the tool inside the loop to keep it round, I'll push it down and it'll make the loop big, right? It'll enlarge the loop. So I need to kind of be aware to not push it down too far. Then also, if I'm not holding it tightly enough, the loop will kind of wiggle around a little bit. But I've got a pretty firm grip on this loop here with the round nose, so it's okay. But sometimes I can't regulate that grip. I just can't. Or if it's like a heavy gauge wire that leaves a lot of gap between my pliers, then it's a little more difficult and I'll move to a flat nose. So just use what works for you, right? If you want to hold it flat with a flat nose, and again, I find sometimes the heavier gauge wire is a little bit easier for that, or with a thinner gauge to keep it in your round nose, whatever works for you. Okay, so there are those guys there. All right. And this is a good question. I want to slow down here for a second and make sure that that I bring this question to the fore, this comment. Janie says, Janie, maybe it is. I'm new to this and I'm surprised by how much I'm finding myself focusing on technique over art. And she didn't really see that coming. You know, I have always been the type of teacher who is a process teacher rather than a project teacher, right? I want you, once you do this, right, this project, just wire wrapping, and these could be any beads. It doesn't have to be what I'm doing here. But once you get the process down, then I think that opens up a whole new avenue for you to create. So you're not so worried about the technique, and that worry kind of scoots over. So your brain has more room for design, if that makes sense. Okay. So I just wanted to share that because I agree. I think when you start out, focus on your technique. Don't worry about making a masterpiece of design. Worry about making a masterpiece of construction, and then it'll all fall into place. Okay. So let's connect some of these. So I'm going to grab my jump rings. You could use jump rings that are a little bit larger if you want. I grabbed 5mm outside diameter, 5mm 18 gauge jump rings. You use what you want, right? This is what we had a lot of. This is what I had sitting on my desk, so this is what I used. Okay. Um, Great, Janie, like Janie. Great, perfect. I'm glad that resonated with you. Wonderful. So what I'll do is I'll start here and I'm going to open up my jump rings, my 18 gauge. 18 gauge is a nice gauge to work with. They are strong enough so that they won't pull open, but not so heavy that you're going to have difficulty working with them. Okay, so here I'm holding this jump ring just up against the opening right here, okay, in my bent chain nose. Did you see how I switched my plier from my straight to my bent chain? I like the bent chain for this, okay. So then I'm just going to come in, grab the jump ring with my chain nose and give it a little open. Okay, so it's still in the same spot. It's still in the same place here. I haven't kind of hurt the integrity or the roundness of this jump ring. I'm just opening it up like a little kickstand. Okay, what you don't want to do is open your jump rings like this. Okay, you've got one here, you've got it here, and you pull it open. Look at that sad, misshapen jump ring, right? I have ended that jump ring's usefulness. That jump ring is no more, right? So what you want to do is you want to push it open like a little kickstand, okay, like that. And you can open a bunch of them. I'm going to open a few here, not that many. And I push the jump ring away from me using my right hand, and I hold it steady using the bent chain nose in my left hand. But you get your technique, okay, that works. So let me open up 6. Okay. And Kim is saying she likes the look of using double jump rings. Let me show you that. I'll put a double one on so you guys can see how that looks. I like that look too, Kim, and sometimes I forget about it. So thank you for reminding me. You can see here I've already connected that with one. I'm just going to connect this one in and put that second one there and close it just like I opened it. Hold it steady with my bent chain. Get my flat chain nose in there and get it right. I go back and forth just a little bit, pushing, and there it's closed. And sometimes you need to kind of see with your fingers how it fits. But see, that double jump ring looks nice too. Okay. The tools that I'm using, Beth is asking, these are the ones that we carry in here at beadshop.com. They're a nice economy tool. We also carry the German pliers, which I love, the red German ones, which I think are on my desk. Oh, here's a pair right here, which I also love. These are old school Beadshop I love them, love them. It's this one right here. But I like this one. My hand is kind of small, and so this plier is kind of small. So it also has these nice, big, heavy handles. So where I exert the force on my tool, I do that a lot from the end back here, right? That is where I exert the pressure. So that translates up the tool, and it helps me close that without close the tips without pushing with my thumb and index finger too much, right? My hand's maybe a little stronger down here. So it's really comfortable. They're a good tool, nice round heads. I really like them. So we've been carrying these for a while. I like them. Okay, so to connect just that single one, I'll come in, I'll grab my jump ring, and I'll grab a beaded unit here, a component, and I'll just do the same thing, and I'll come in and I'll get that tip. See the tip of that tool, it's right next to the opening, and I'll go back and forth. Whoops, it's a little too heavy-handed there, but I go back and forth until I don't see any air in that jump ring. Okay, that's it. So then what you can do with some dangles here, you could use like 2 maybe, and I'm going to come in with another jump ring, and I'm going to see how this looks. I'm going to close this ring back and forth. There we go. And then I'm going to take this jump ring, connect into that ring, and then for maximum swing here, connect into this ring. And let's see how those look together. And since these jump rings are smaller, they're not going to leave like a big, you're not going to see a bunch of big loops, but it'll fit a little bit. It'll have a swing a little bit more, I think. And if this is a necklace, it'll, I think, lay really nicely around the neck. So let's see. I've got this double jump ring, so maybe I'll skip that double and I'll go to this one over here. Okay. So I'll sweep up my jump ring. I'll get this guy here, and I'll grab this one here. And so I'm going to hold the left-hand side steady with my bent chain. And with my right hand, I grab the jump ring kind of at an angle, bring that jump ring towards me and past, then away from me and past where it should be, and then pull it right into place. And sometimes you can even hear that click, but you can see that's nice and closed. That's not going anywhere. So just practice. And with the heavier gauges, it'll be a little bit easier for you, I think. Sometimes the thin jump rings are just too hard to close. Now, I've made a decision that this is going to be the bottom of my necklace, right? So I want all of the component parts that I'm putting on to attach to the bottom of the jump ring here. I don't want to attach some here and some down here, or else they're going to sit a little funny, okay? If that makes sense, okay? And so, yeah, Janie's saying here, I've had someone tell me I should make sure I actually feel the 2 ends of the jump ring rub against each other to lock them in when closing. That's exactly right, right? That's exactly right. So when your ring, here it is, I'll just open and close it. So I'm opening it here. Whoops, you can't see that. There we go. As I am closing the ring, you can see there it's open. I pull it closed, and as I'm pulling it this way to kind of work harden the other side, the opposite of the closed end of the jump ring, the tips of the jump ring kind of brush past each other. So they kind of, I can feel them brush past each other here, okay? Now I'll come in and I'll give it a close, and they meet, there we go, right right there. I can feel that they are pushing against each other. That way, when you look at this ring now, you can see there's no, there we go, there's no air in there. And when I check my jump ring to make sure it's closed, I check it this way, but I also check it this way to make sure that on all sides the wire is meeting, if that makes sense. Okay, and that's closed. That's not going anywhere. Okay, especially that size in that gauge. This 5mm 18 gauge is really what, it's my ring of choice. Okay. You can also use a 2 bent chain. Audrey is saying she likes using 2 bent chain nose. I do that sometimes too. So I've got my 2 bent chain nose. Sometimes it's easier to have these chain nose kind of pointing away from each other like this when you open and close. So 2 bent chain work out nicely as well. So if that's your gig, more power to you. That works. Okay. So, okay, let me take a pause and get to the clasp because we still have giveaways. I'm going to show the giveaway a little bit early here. So if you're the winner, you can start putting in your phrase here. So I'll show you that. We're going to get to this in just a second. So let me add myself back to the video here just real quick and say that I have 3 giveaways for you today. Okay. And I'll show you at the end of the video today, I have a Friday, something special dropping on Friday that I think you guys are going to love. But these are a couple of the things in this baggie are components from that drop. So this is giveaway number 1. I've got 3 today. Okay, so I had an extra strand of this beautiful pyrite that I did on a flash sale Friday a couple of weeks ago. That's in the bag. I have some little, those wonderful ebony no ending beads and some of those circles of midnight brass ones. And then these are pieces from the kit. We're not going to sell these. These will be kit exclusives. But you guys, I'm going to show you again on Friday. Of course, my frickin' bead caliper is on my desk, but these are like 10mm. Here, let me get the ruler. These are like a 10, even more so, maybe like a 14mm freshwater pearl. Look at those. I put 4. I had a few extra, so I put these in your giveaway. Right? These are so delicious. I love them. These are some brass some lost wax cast brass beads from Ghana in this pinwheel shape. And then one of the beautiful brass rings also cast from Ghana. So this is one baggie, right? So let me put these all away. These are in Friday's kit. So you'll see, or in Friday's mix. It's not really a kit, but I had some extra. So these go in, this goes in. So that's giveaway number 1. Okay, this is door number 1. Door number 2, let me put these back in their little baggie. Door number 2 is one of my mini mixes that I squirreled away for you guys. I can't even remember. This was probably about a year ago. I thought it was perfect for fall. It has a beautiful set. I think I did a lariat with these. A beautiful set of Swarovski crystal, what they call the rock pendant here. 2 of those delicious beauties. A little mini mix and some check glass. Okay, so I had one of those spirited away. So that's giveaway number 2. That's door number 2. Door number 3, this is a fan favorite. You guys love these, and I've got more coming. I've got some that I'm putting together, so you'll see these pretty soon. I had a leftover Bead Heaven bead mix in mostly green, my favorite. What I do is I make these with my very own little hands, and I put some fun leftover beads and things we have, what we call bead heaven. So this is door number 3. Okay, so I'm going to pull a name in a little bit. Okay, but the way that the giveaways work here at Beadshop is that we do them here for the live broadcast. So if you're watching live today, right now, October 13th at 11:39 a.m. for the next about 20 minutes, the broadcast will go. You want to put in, I'll give you the name in here a second. You want to make sure, you guys, and I can see almost everybody's name. There are very few names that I'm not seeing, but due to Facebook privacy rules, we use StreamYard as our streaming platform. You need to give StreamYard permission to see your name at streamyard.com/Facebook only if you're watching from our beadshop.com Facebook group. If you're watching on YouTube or on our Beadshop channel or my Kate Richburg YouTube, you don't need to worry. I can see your name. It's no problem. But if you go over there, you just grant them permission. Since groups are private, you have to grant them permission so they can see your name in the private group. So in the comments, you need to leave #wire to enter the giveaway. You can enter as many times as you want, but our program is only going to recognize one of those entries per person, okay? The entries are accepted on the live broadcast, and the date, why does this date never change when I save it? There we go. Let's try that again. There we are. The entries are accepted on the live broadcast on today, 10/13/21 only. And again, it's #wire to enter. So I'll let all of you all enter, and let's get back to our clasp, shall we? And you can enter from anywhere. And I'll give you instructions once you're the winner to what you're going to do next so we get your winnings to you. Okay, so let's get back to this clasp, and you guys can continue to enter here. So this clasp is also done with 22 gauge wire. And I used one of the leaves here, and on the other side, I just did a wire wrap bead unit, but I did a double. So can you see how this goes through like that? Okay, so I'm going to cut, where's my wire? Here it is. I'm going to cut 4 inches. I think I've probably never measured this in my life, but let's go with 4 inches of this 22 gauge. Okay. Now on the end, just like you would for any wire wrap, you guys, you're going to come in and make a wire wrap loop. Okay, so let's make a wire wrap loop. At a right angle, up and over, down and under, lift the camera, and wire wrap. Okay, so notice here for speed, I'm keeping that tool, the round plier, in my loop. And it's holding everything stable just fine. And what I left gives me almost exactly 3 little loops underneath. Okay, 3 is usually my default. I can't quite see it to get it in there. Come on now. Who's the boss? Me. There we go. So now you're going to pick your bead. I'm going to pick, I'm going to do an oval. I did a leaf for the other one, but I'm going to do one of these 6mm fire polish, I guess, right? But you can do anything, any wire that you want, okay? So, I'm going to show you, Andrea, where did you go? Andrea, get your hashtag and your wire together, no space. I just saw that. So make sure it's hashtag plus wire. There you go. Enter again. You have time. But everybody, I see everybody's names. That's good. That's great. So this goes on. So now what you're going to make is the hook of the clasp. Okay. So you can see here's this, the wire wrap portion. Now the length of the hook really depends on, or the length of the wire here really depends on how large you want the hook to be. Okay, so I'm going to make this hook was Gigantor. It was big. Okay, I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. I'm going to go up to about here, which is, I don't know, maybe an inch and a quarter. I like the looks of that. Okay. And I'm going to scoot it down just a little bit because I want to make sure when I bring this wire back down, 4 inches might have been a little small. Maybe go a little bit. If you're going to use a larger bead, go about 5 inches. Okay. Because this wire has to come down, so I'm going to bend this at an angle, bring it all the way down, and see how it comes past the bead here. Okay. So now I'm going to come in with my chain nose and I'm going to tighten that up so it's a nice closed loop. And I'm going to hold my pliers here so that this wire wrap and the opening right here between the head of the tool and the bead are about equal. Then I'm going to bend that wire at an angle. Now that wire that I've bent, let me get this a little bit here. I'm going to come in and wrap. So I'm closing that loop that's going to become the hook. I want to make sure this is sitting nicely. I want to hold those wires flat. I'm going to come in and bring it around and I'm going to wrap 3 times. So it's just like you're making a wire wrap loop on this side. Whoops, sorry, I'm out of the frame. It's just like I'm making a wire wrap loop on this side, except I made like a long stick with my wire instead. Okay. So then I'll take this out, I'll straighten everything to make sure that the 2 pieces of wire are laying side by side like this. Then I'll cut away the tail. And push that little end right in. Make sure when you're cutting away your wire that you're putting your hand over it so it doesn't fly up and hit you in the face, right? You want to be really careful where that little piece of wire is going. But here's this, okay? You've got this wire wrap stick. Now we're going to bring it up and over so it creates this loop. Now you can see here on this one that I did, I don't know, I cut like a lot of wire, probably 7 inches of wire. So I had a lot of extra. So after the wire wrap, I still had some. So I brought that wire down and around and then wrapped it around this original wire wrap, which is how I got that little wire embellishment on top of that bead. But this one we're just making plain. So to form it, to turn it into a hook, I'm going to pull this hook back just a little bit so it's like at an angle. And then you can use your round nose pliers, or if you feel like your round nose pliers aren't quite large enough, like I want something I think that is a little bit bigger, rounder. Here's a pen or a pencil right here. I can use that pencil to come around and see, just use that as my mandrel. And then that little tip, I push in so it forms a nice hook. I want to flatten that loop out. Okay, so there you've got it. Easy, easy, easy. Okay, then the other side, and you could also, before you pull this over, you could put that little doubled over wire piece on your bench block and hammer it if you wanted to flatten it, to work harden it a little bit. You could do that too. I've done that. And then the other side is simply a wire wrap loop, but I went around, instead of once, I went around twice here, like this. Okay, and this hook, again, that hammering will work harden it, but also all of this double wire and all of this kind of wrapping and stuff work hardens this enough, especially in 22 gauge, that I've never had an issue. Also, if you don't make the loop super big, if you make it a little bit smaller, it'll have less space and it won't be so malleable. But that really works out. You can also kind of come in and just give it a little hug with your pliers here. That will also help to work harden everything. Now, I had, before we get to the drawing, I had a piece of, from last week, you guys remember I did this cuff, right? And if you didn't, see it, you may want to go back and watch this broadcast, this leather and chain cuff. I had a scrap of that leather left sitting here. Okay, and I thought, oh, I like the looks of that. So I wanted to try something. I have just a couple of minutes here before we do the drawing. So I wanted to try something to see if it would work. It might all end in tears, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Karen's asking what kind of wire I'm using. I am using dead soft bare copper wire. So it's pure copper. It's not craft wire, but you could use whatever wire floats your boat. Okay. Whatever works for you. So this scrap of leather that I had, and literally I picked the scrap up off of my pad. So it's about 1 3/4 inches about, right? Here's another scrap that I'm going to be using. This is about 1 1/2 inches. So I got my awl and I bored some holes in it. Can you see that right there? And I might trim this off just a little bit. There might be a couple of little places there that are kind of funny. So the way I did the hole, I got my awl and I put it right, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch up from the edge and just put that through. Okay. You want to be careful not to drive this awl into your hand, okay? So that's why I'm pushing it in under a kind of a soft surface. And as I push it through, there we go. You can see I've bored a hole in there. If you have a hole punch or leather hole punch, you can do that as well. But see how I'm just getting that awl right through that leather? Okay, like so. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. So you can see here, I put those holes in this. Now, I've been using 22 gauge wire. So I'm going to grab this 22 gauge. And Leslie had a question about, doesn't the 22 gauge start to patina over time? And it will. A lot of times what I'll do, like with this piece, I would probably patina it, honestly, to be honest, with liver of sulfur. Okay, so the liver of sulfur will darken up this wire, which is why I like using the bare copper. And Janie, just so you know, I can see your name, so don't worry. The only time you have to go in and grant StreamYard permission is if you're watching in our Facebook group, the Bead Table. If you're watching on YouTube or on our Facebook page for Beadshop, I can see your name just fine, so you don't need to worry. So see how I put that 22 gauge through the holes in the awl right there? Okay. And I put it through and I've kind of pulled it together, kind of like I was doing a briolette wrap. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to wire wrap that. I thought that maybe this piece might benefit from a little leather in there. I don't know. A little mixed media. Never hurt anyone. There's the StreamYard link right up. I'll take that off and put the hashtag wire back up. So you can see here. Here we go. And I'm going to finish this off with a bead. Could be any bead. So what I've got here is I've used this tiny scrap of my leather. This also looks like an amazing earring. I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel really good about it. It's kind of interesting. Then up and over. Down and under. Let's wrap it. Here's how I just went over the top of that bead. See there? I'm just going over. So I'll wrap it up here just to make it look a little heavier. Structurally it's sound, but maybe visually it wants to be a little heftier. So I'm going to do that. Clip. And push that in. Try not to pinch myself with the tool. There we go. So what I was thinking was this would be a good other side. Look at that for that clasp. Look at that. Right? It looks great as an earring, but I think it would look really good as a closure, because then you could wear this if this closure kind of comes around your neck or whatever. Doesn't make any difference. Whoops, I can't get this there. Okay, there we go. You could also do this as a component, right? Like I could cut this kind of short, like cut this one in half using my cutters. Put my awl in there. Use a soft surface to really pierce that through, to make sure it's pierced, so you don't pierce this through your finger, right? Then you can push this through here like this. Be really careful when you shove that all through there. I don't want anyone to have to go get a tetanus shot because of this demo. Okay, so push it into your soft surface, like a piece of foam or your velvet pad or whatever. Pull this leather up until it rotates around. Then you can give it a little bit of a ream right there, and just be careful with your fingers because this is needle sharp. Okay, so something like this, if you had a jump ring that was larger, you could connect a jump ring, or you could simply just wire wrap and have that little tag there, which I think would look really cool. And those are just the scraps I had left over from this bracelet. So it's just the 5mm strap leather. We carry it as well. I'm going to have Drea add it to the materials list because I didn't think of this yesterday. I just thought of it today because it was sitting here. So so you might want to do that. I'm going to incorporate mine into this finished piece as well. So you'll see it over on the beadshop.com website. You'll see this sample is called Foliage. If you click on there, it'll take you right to the page for all of the products that I have. My mom brought up a good tip, and I'll show you this. See how this leather is darkened at the sides here? So I can take my Sharpie marker, my beloved Sharpie, and darken this so it's dark all the way around. That's a nice touch, Gwenda. Good job there. So I'll do this for that component as well. It gives it a nice finish. And it'll dry and be permanent. Okay, so that makes it look nice and clean on those ends. All right. So I think it's time to do these drawings, right? So let me add this. There we go. Here is we've got 151 entries. I love it. So let me remove. No, this is good. I can see. Everybody can see well enough. Okay, so drawing number 1. We've got the gray bag with the pearls, etc. So let's do this one. Let's see who the winner is here. So we've got Lorraine. Lorraine, you are winner of bag number 1. I'm going to put your name on it right here with this Post-it note. If you are the winner, email your mailing information to info@beadshop.com. If you don't mail Drea, I won't know to send it to you because I promptly forget after this broadcast. Okay, so Lorraine, your name is on this one. Email, though I know we probably have your mailing address, just as a reminder, that would be great. Okay, so let's go ahead and have drawing number 2. And number 2, what we've got here is the little fall mix with those beautiful Swarovski crystals. Erica, you are the winner here for number 2. I'm putting your name on this as we speak. Going over here. And for number 3, the Bead Heaven bead mix, the mostly greens. Let me get my giveaway screen back here, and let's draw again for this last one. Quinta 80, hurrah! I'm sure you will mention that it's you, Quinta 80, your not your screen name, but your normal name, so I know who it is. And Allie, if you are watching from last week, I have not received your email. I think you were the winner last week. Allie, just Allie on YouTube. Email Drea. Your email did not come through if I see you watching, because I still have your prize set aside for you. So Allie, if you're watching, email Drea. So I've got you from last week. Okay, let me see if I can remove this. There we go. And I'm going to remove this one. Okay, great. So that is fun. I hope that was fun. I've got some more giveaways on Friday for you. Okay, and I've got a sneak peek. I already took that camera out, but I've got a mix coming down with an amazing sample that you're going to see. That's all I'm going to show you, right? Oh, Allie, you did email it. You can also email to me. You can try info at beadshop.com or info.beadshop@gmail.com. Try it there too. So I want to make sure that we get you. So good. I do see your comment there. Perfect. So that's all I'm going to show you of that one, but it's all in this bag. So watch your newsletters, everybody. If you enjoyed this show, you can follow us on our beadshop.com, Instagram, on Facebook. Please join us over at the Bead Table. We'd love to have you. We're almost 700 members strong, and we'd love to have you join us over there. And of course, you can like and subscribe to us right at beadshop.com. Some of you are coming in and watching me from my Kate Richburg YouTube channel as well. So hop on over here to beadshop.com and give us a follow. I am here every Wednesday and Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time. Also, you guys, to find all of the information on the project and the products from today's broadcast, go right to our website, beadshop.com, and you can sign up for our newsletter for the latest discounts, giveaways, and new products, including this mix drop for Friday. Okay, so that is it. That's all I have for you today. Oh, nope, I lied. We also have right now going on at Beadshop through tomorrow, Thursday at midnight, Thursday the 14th. We've got Midweek Madness here. I love that. It sounds so hey. But we've got 20% off store-wide if you use coupon code SPICE20 at checkout. So if you want to jump in and grab any of the supplies, the wire, or anything for this foliage project, now is the time to do it. Use coupon code SPICE20 at checkout and it'll knock 20% off of your cart here at Beadshop. And that's good through tomorrow night, October 14th. Whew. That was a lot. I so enjoyed spending this amazing time with you today. Thank you for all of the good wishes on my move and Janice's move. We're not going anywhere, but sometimes we'll be coming at you from different locales. So thank you, thank you, thank you, because without your support of this small business, we would not be here doing what we love since 1982, you guys. Crazy. Thank you so much. I will see you on Friday for this mix drop. Thank you ever so. Stay creative, everybody. Talk to you soon.